Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Why Teacher. The reading month continues and the book that I'm sharing with you today is titled My Feudal Lord by Tahmina Durrani. So as the title suggests, My Feudal Lord is a commentary on, the feudal system in Pakistan. It talks about, men in power and how they abuse this power to dominate the women in their lives. It is a heart-wrenching tale of a woman who marries off this really powerful politician in Pakistan, and then the realization of how hypocritical and how oppressive the feudal system really is towards women opens her eyes to many realities. I believe the book remains special to me for two reasons. Firstly, it was my first read coming out of Pakistan, written by a woman who didn't just share the horrors, the atrocities and the oppression that she was subjected to while living in a feudal system, but at the same time the vulnerabilities, the so many vulnerable moments that she faced, the way she has carved these out in the book and put them for everyone to read. I think it takes a lot of courage for any woman in Pakistan to put her life out there. There are so many incidents in the book related to her own life that can make people very judgmental, that can raise so many questions. And for a woman not to be afraid of putting it all out there, for being able to raise those questions, I believe is something admirable. So reading this book, of course, there are parts in the story when you read them, you tend to understand the pain of the writer. You tend to understand the pain of the woman who comes from an educated and affluent background, is considered to be very beautiful, and you tend to feel like, why would she be treated in the way that she's being treated? Because he is an abusive husband, he abuses her physically, he tortures her mentally, he tortures the children in front of her. So there is a fear that's created inside her. Now, for me to read that, it was disturbing to see how a woman would allow something like that to happen, and how slowly and gradually she begins to understand the kind of power dynamics that are part of a feudal system, and how she begins to exercise the confidence that he's been trying to break since the very beginning. Because I believe in a feudal system, this is what I understood from the book, is that the feudal system works on fear, and especially with women, they keep their women always fearful of the consequences. And the greatest fear that any woman would have, of course, is to be shamed, in a society which is so unforgiving towards women. So the sad conclusion, of course, is that if you're a woman in Pakistan, and whether you are in power or you've been stripped of your power, you tend to, this fear tends to make you forgive the man time and again. There are a lot of women in Pakistan who go through these marriages, these abusive marriages, for many, many years, because there is the fear of shame, to be shamed by society for things that they are not even responsible for. So it's really eye-opening to see that this book was published, more than 2 decades back. And today women are still doing, marching for their rights, and still there are men who believe that this is an unnecessary thing, and that there's nothing wrong with our society, and there's nothing wrong with the way men treat women. I believe that the problems of a feudal system, to quite an extent, are part of our urban areas as well. I do believe that men have hypocritical values. I believe that men have different standards when it comes to the women inside their houses, and a completely different standard for a woman outside the house. This hypocrisy is going to be part of our society. I don't think that things are going to change.